You've done this 1,000 times, but not like this. The call comes in at 3:47 a.m. Not unusual. Calls always come at wrong hours when you hold this position. What's unusual is the silence before the voice speaks. 3 full seconds of dead air, and on this line, dead air doesn't happen. Ever. We have a situation in Sector 9. You already know what that means. Your hands move before your brain catches up. 12 screens light the room. No windows, no name on the door. No record in any government database that this office exists. The building you work in appears on official maps as a decommissioned water treatment facility. 18 people on the planet know your name. 4 of them report to you. Your job has no title, but if it did, it would be the one thing every government on Earth pretends doesn't exist. The person who decides when to pull the thread that unravels everything. Then you see the feed from Sector 9. At first, it looks like a glitch, a data error, something a junior analyst might flag as a corrupted signal and move on. But you've been doing this long enough to know what corrupted signals look like. This isn't one. The pattern is deliberate. Someone is sending a message through a channel that doesn't officially exist, through infrastructure that, on paper, was dismantled in 2009. Someone is using your own system against you. You notify no one. That's protocol. When something like this surfaces, you contain it first. You verify second. You report never, unless you choose to. That's the weight of what you hold. 3 governments believe they control this network. 2 of them are wrong. One of them is half right, which is more dangerous than being entirely wrong. And somewhere inside the message bleeding through from Sector 9 is a name that should not exist in any active file. A name you personally buried 7 years ago. Your coffee goes cold. You don't notice. The second anomaly appears 11 minutes later. It gets worse from here. The pattern shifts. What looked like a message becomes a sequence. 42 data points, each one time-stamped exactly 90 seconds apart. You've seen sequences like this before. Once during a simulation, and once during an event that you are not permitted to describe in writing, even internally. The sequence is a countdown, not to a detonation, not to a breach, to a disclosure. Someone is about to tell the world something that you have spent years making sure the world will never know. Not because the information is false, because it's true. You feel the shift before you understand it. The room temperature hasn't changed, the screens are the same, but something in the air is different. The way a pressure drop feels before a storm that hasn't arrived yet. You've learned to trust that feeling. It has kept you in this chair longer than any training, any clearance, any protocol. You make the first call, encrypted, routed through 4 countries. It rings twice. "I see it," the voice on the other end says. Nothing more. That tells you everything. If they see it too, the sequence is real. If the sequence is real, you have less than 19 minutes before the 42nd point triggers. And at the 42nd point, you lose the ability to contain this from the inside. Now something is wrong in a way that has no procedure. You open the contingency file, the one with no label stored on a system that exists on exactly one server in a location you've never visited, maintained by a technician who doesn't know what they're maintaining. Inside the file are 7 options. You've reviewed them annually for 6 years. You've never had to choose one. Option 1 protects the network. Option 4 protects the people. Options 1 and 4 are mutually exclusive. You have 16 minutes. The third anomaly is the one that breaks the pattern entirely. The name from Sector 9 appears again, but this time it's not in the data stream. It's in your own system log. Internal. Time-stamped 40 minutes ago. Before the call. Before the sequence. Before you knew any of this was happening. Whoever is doing this was already inside before you woke up. You realized too late that the call at 3:47 a.m. wasn't an alert. It was a test. To see what you would do. To see who you would call. To see which file you would open. And you opened it. Your hands stop moving. For the first time in 11 years in this position, you don't know the next step. Not because the options are gone. You still have 7. But because every option you take from this point will be visible to whoever built this. Every move confirms something about how this system works. Every call reveals a connection they may not have had before. The most powerful thing you could do right now is nothing. But nothing is also a choice, and the countdown doesn't pause for it. 12 minutes. The screens flicker. Just once, a fraction of a second, but in a system with 5 redundant power sources, a flicker means something crossed all 5 simultaneously. That doesn't happen through accident. That's a signature. Someone is telling you they're still here. Watching. Waiting to see if you understand what they've built. You understand. You close the contingency file. You close the feeds. You sit in the dark with 12 blank screens and a countdown you can feel but no longer see. And you make a decision that has no option number. One that isn't in the file. One that you will never be able to explain in any report because there will be no report. Because what you're about to do doesn't exist in any protocol, and when it's over, neither will the evidence that you did it. This is what the job actually is. Not power, not control, not access. It's the moment when every system built to handle the impossible runs out of road, and there's one person left in the room. You. 1 minute. You type 4 words into a terminal that connects to nothing anyone has ever mapped. 4 words that will either close this permanently or confirm every fear the sequence was designed to surface. You press Enter. The screen goes dark. And somewhere in a building that doesn't exist, a person with no title and no record just changed something the world will never know was broken. That was always the job. If you found yourself making that choice, which option would you have taken? If this kind of story keeps you up at night, subscribe. Share this with someone who thinks they understand how the world actually works. They don't. Not yet.